they know they're going to be on your property, damaging your property. They're cutting down your trees. They go ahead and do it without permission and without compensation. And they do it in a way that you never find out until you become an intrepid citizen reporter and file a Freedom of Information request on your own. They were never going to tell you.
They never disclosed it. So we ended up sitting in a meeting with them, and she knew all this information, and they never disclosed it. So they had to sign a contract without full disclosure. And as far as I understand, when you do contracts, you need to fully disclose to the other party what the true intentions are, right? They didn't do that.
Right.
They hid that little tidbit of information. So I don't know why that.
So you sign a contract to give them temporary access to your land because you're not against the highway. You're not against construction.
No.
You just want to make sure that your rights as a landowner are respected. Where does that take you?
Well, it takes us to 9.5 years of hell because we gave them permission to do the driveway, which here we are. This is almost 10 years later. They have never built the driveway that they first came to us for in the first place. We ended up building it ourselves. And then they did a whole bunch of different designs that weren't even accessible. So as you've got some of the documentation from the engineers, they've said that it's an unacceptable use. What is it? Unacceptable for public use or something like that. And they kind of slammed SNC-Lavalin, who designed them, as not even following basic guidelines, which are in the tax standards that all engineers use, all civil engineers that are building highways use all the exact same standards. And in fact, I think SNC-Lavalin had a lot to do with these standards being created in the first place. And then they just threw them all out the window, which is what the letter said, right? They just kind of threw away all these expected criteria. And they removed safety features and everything else in order to be on our property, I guess, the least amount. They tried to damage us the least amount, but they still managed to come in there. So SNC-Lavalin, the biggest engineering firm in Canada, doesn't know how to build a driveway.
Well, and I guess I've seen some of the planning documents because, like I said, you have been meticulous in keeping track of all your communications with the government. I was deluged with documents related to your story last night. They, at one point, were considering building your driveway in a way that cut directly through your home.
Yeah. Yes, we got at least, I would say at least 12 different designs to choose from. One of which I provided to you, which shows the design goes through our house, through our triple car garage, which isn't attached, and through my fish house, my business. So it was like the trifecta of drive-throughs, I guess. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, and you discovered through an additional Freedom of Information filing that you did that they ended up being further onto your property than you had thought. I forget the amount it was, but it was so far that it was definite appropriation of your land or expropriation of your land without telling you, once again, or bothering to compensate you. I mean, it's just atrocious. Yeah. And again, they were never going to tell you. You became a citizen journalist and uncovered this all on your own. How far were they into your land?
I personally don't know exactly how far, but I would guess they're at least 10 feet. I didn't read the whole engineering thing because I'm not an engineer and don't understand that sort of words. But I left it to them. What he said to me, the surveyor that did it, he said it's farther than we had thought. So we thought they were at least 2 meters, so it's farther than that. But yeah, you're right. They didn't come to us. There is a process in Canada that if we say we didn't want to sell them our land, say they came to us and they said, look, we're going to take your land and we're going to give you fair market value. And we said, screw you, build your highway around us. Some people do that. So that's where expropriation comes in, right? So then they sever your land, they pay you for fair market value. They give you what's called a Section 3 agreement, which means that you have the right to go ahead and sue them because you disagree with what they paid you. And under that, because we have a business, you're entitled to business losses. So we didn't get any of that. And unbeknownst to us, they just took our land. It took us a little bit to figure it out. And then when we went and we tried to hold them accountable for it, all that they did was ignore us and just poo-poo us. And then eventually they lawyered up and wouldn't even talk to us anymore. So we ended up filing a civil suit in 2013. And they've managed to drag it from then until now. The last 3 years of which, like I said on my video, they're lawyers, and everyone will get a kick out of this because initially it was handled by the AG office, so the Attorney General's office, And then at some point, and this is my guess, is that the AG office figured out that the ministry wasn't behaving in a particularly good manner and did something and acquired land in a way they shouldn't have. Might have been illegal, and so backed off a little bit and decided to hire a couple local lawyers here in Kelowna, one a divorce lawyer and the other a financial lawyer. I think it was maybe because they're in the same building as them, it might have made it a little bit more convenient for all their meetings and such. But needless to say, those two guys managed to drag this out for the last 3 years. Our lawyer's been asking for very specific information, which has to do with their starting numbers, so that our surveyor could take their numbers and recreate what they did using their own numbers. So there was no argument whether we were right or wrong. We were just right because we were using their numbers. So they did that, and he put together a report, which you have. And he said it was worse than we thought, and 100% they're on your property, and it should have been expropriated. It's a de facto expropriation.
That's an excerpt from my weekly show, The Gun Show. It airs every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Each week I bring you an informal interview with an interesting newsmaker or citizen activist you might not have heard of, but who is making a big difference in Canadian politics. And we'll talk about issues in a way you'll never see done in the mainstream media. To subscribe, go to therebel.media/shows.